Hello, welcome to another episode of Namtaro Talks. As promised from the previous episode, I will be diving into a new topic today. The topic is physical health. I've been looking forward to talk about this topic, and it's been on my mind for a while. And I would like to preface the episode by saying I'll be talking mainly about physical health, not necessarily mental and emotional health, though those are definitely important, and maybe I'll talk about that on another episode. But today we will focus on physical health. And I know there's many aspects of physical health, but the two main categories I will talk about are exercise and diet. I would like to preface this episode by saying that I am not some major expert who does a lot of research or some kind of professor at a university or anything, but this is just based on my education and anecdotes and life experience. Pretty much what works for me and what I share and my takes on it. It may apply to you. Some things may not apply to you, and that's totally fine. And it may not apply to me in the future, but it's what's worked for me today and for the past few years. And it can always be adapted, adjusted. It's flexible. It's good to have discipline with keeping up with your physical health, but but nothing is set in stone. I would like to begin by talking about my current routine. Yes, so the good thing about what I do for exercise is that I do not have a gym membership. I have not had one for several years. So I literally start exercising the moment I get out of bed. Yeah, so the alarm rings, I get out of bed, I start stretching. I stretch my hips, I stretch my hamstrings, I stretch my thighs, and then I make my way downstairs. But just because I don't have a gym membership does not mean I don't have equipment. I definitely do, and they are affordable, and I get the most bang for their buck because in my opinion, still good quality, and I still use it every day. Well, every weekday at least. Yeah, that is the pull-up bar and my adjustable weights and my parents' old sitting upright cycling machine. So after I feed the rabbit, which is a topic for another day, I hang the pull-up bar on our pantry door. Yes, I have a pretty big pantry, and I do my share of pull-ups, and then after that, I set the weights to the desired weight, and I do my curls, I do my shoulder press, I throw some push-ups in there, and I turn the coffee maker on before I get onto the biking machine. Yeah, so I just ride it for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, whatever I can apply. But in addition to biking, I'm also holding, well, for me right now, it's 10-pound weights. It works for me. I either hold it on my sides or I do some forward raises or side raises or mini shoulder press in between. So I'm not necessarily just biking empty-handed or leaning on the handlebars too much. Some new routines I've recently been adding is sometimes I do less biking, but I hold the 10-pound weights and do knee raises and put the weights at certain areas under the knees, or try to bring the knees to the opposite elbows, things like that. And I've done many other stuff in the past. Before I used to, that one board from Shark Tank where you stand on it and you just wobble back and forth. You twist it, and it's supposedly good for your abs. You do it for about 5 minutes. Yeah, I used to do that. Or sometimes I used to do lunges, or sometimes I do mountain climbers. Yeah, actually I still do. That's one of my favorite ones at the current moment. I used to have a jump rope. Actually, no, I do have a jump rope, and I used to jump it sometimes. And then there's also it's like the fake jump rope, but you hold it, and there's no actual rope. It's just a couple weighted balls, and you just swing it like a jump rope. Yeah, so I have those also. Yeah, so after I do my workout, and honestly, I admit, sometimes I'm not the best at it. Sometimes I kind of lounge in between or take breaks longer than I would like, because throughout the workout, I'm also listening to YouTube videos or podcasts or video essays about pretty much other random topics. But after the exercise is done, that's when I drink my smoothie. So I make these smoothies ahead of time. It's a lot more convenient that way. So typically there is one protein source, one vegetable source, one fruit source, or a sweet source, and supplements in between. Yeah, the protein source, typically it is a Greek yogurt, but sometimes if you have a flavored Greek yogurt that you're kind of too lazy to eat, you just put one or two of those in. So that kind of doubles up as your fruit or sweet source also. And the vegetable source, typically it's broccoli because it's pretty easy and very fillable, But sometimes I go for kale, like the $2 bags of kale you get from Trader Joe's. Yeah, I know kale is not the most delicious vegetable to eat, and but it works, And the vegetables, you get your fiber, you get your protein, and not really supplements, but other things I put in my smoothie. Sometimes apple cider vinegar, chia seeds, hemp seeds, turmeric. Sometimes I'm kind of lazy and throw in some instant coffee too, and I pour like cold brew tea on top of that. But sometimes I run out of tea, so I use water, or sometimes I want to change it up. I use milk or oat milk. Yeah, so that's the gist of the smoothie, and then you just blend it up and you just drink it, and that's my breakfast usually. Yeah, and it's not set in stone like I say about many things. Sometimes the fruit is just some frozen strawberries or blueberries. Yeah, but the fruit is typically bananas. Yeah, bananas are really easy because they got their sweet fix. Though for some reason recently when I went to Costco, it's like the one time they don't have bananas. I was very surprised. They had plantains but don't have bananas. Sometimes for the sweet fix, I put in one of those electrolyte powders, those IV powders from Costco. Yeah, I know I get a lot of stuff from Costco. Actually, maybe most of my ingredients are from Costco, especially the Greek yogurt. Or another protein fix is like walnuts. Yeah, then you gotta toast them up and just grab one handful, throw into the smoothie cup, you blend it, and well, my wife she likes avocados, so every now and then I throw in an avocado. Though with the tariffs, I don't know if I'm pretty sure that would affect the price of avocados. But to me, smoothie is the way to go because you get all of the necessary ingredients into one giant jambalaya, and it's very easy to consume. Yeah, you don't have to be super mindful. Like, oh my God, do I have enough protein or fiber, or how am I gonna put my chia seeds or my hemp seeds in, or turmeric is so disgusting, blah blah blah. Like you just put it in, you drink it, and you just kind of it's not the most delicious thing in the world, but I enjoy it. As a matter of fact, I can take it better than most people. Oh yeah, spinach. That's another good vegetable option for smoothies. Though that takes me back. I know I go on tangents because one time I think we lost a game of beer pong, and the punishment was to drink a spinach smoothie, but the only thing available was spinach and water. And I drank the smoothie. I was able to stomach it, but my friends did not, and they hated it. They thought it was disgusting. Well, that's pretty much my morning routines during the weekdays. Before I dive even deeper into the topics of exercise and diet, I would like to briefly talk about posture and ergonomics. Yes, because they play a huge important role in your everyday life because posture it's how you place your body for extended prolonged periods of time. You either sitting in the car or sitting at your desk chair or just standing in line or for prolonged periods of time. So you try to be as efficient and as comfortable as possible. So regarding posture, the general rule of thumb for sitting, try your best to have things in 90 degrees, like 90 degrees, ankles on the ground, and then knees to thighs, and then also, I guess, torso to the hips, and the monitor, try to keep it eye level, and the keyboard, try to have it straight in front of you, and the wrists are relatively flat, not too curved up or too curved down. Yeah, any kind of rest, like wrist rest for the keyboard or the mouse, that all helps. Ideally, have one of those curved back chairs. But if you do get one of those chairs, you gotta use it. I've seen my share of people who just they have the best chair in the world or the most ergonomic, comfy, softest chair, and they sit like at the edge in front of the chair or don't even lean on the back. Like you have a good device, you gotta take full advantage of it. Ideally, you get one with a good headrest too, because sometimes everyone like they lean their head forward all the time, and It makes your cervical spine like really curve, and like your head, it like your cervical spine. I mean, it's like little bones and little muscles, right? But you have your head way ahead of you. It's gonna feel super heavy. Yeah, and imagine doing that for prolonged periods of time. Yes, and that's just sitting at your desk. Imagine for the car. I mean, a car ergonomics are not ideal, but you try to make it as best as you can. Try to simulate to your desk and chair arrangement as best as possible. And general rule of thumb for standing posture is that you don't want to arch your back too much. You don't want to let your hips like hang too much in the front, but you don't want to like tuck it in too much in the back. So you gotta try to make your hips level. Yeah, level. And I know that's not as the best way to describe it through talking, but if there was ever a visual example, I can demonstrate it to you. So you don't want the terms I use are, you don't want your pelvis tilted too much to the front or too much to the back. You want your pelvis, like, pretend it's a bowl, and the bowl is like carrying water. You don't want to spill that water. You want to keep that water in the bowl. And the general rule of thumb for standing is that you want pretty much like a vertical line running straight through several points. And those points are like the outside of your ankle, the outside of your hip, the outside of your shoulder, and your ears. Yeah, I know there's more technical terms for that, but so long story short, try to have one vertical line that hits all four of those spots as often as possible. And if you ever need a refresher, just practice standing with your back and shoulders against the wall on a flat, hard surface. Yes, and when I'm going to talk more about the exercise aspect. So when it comes to weightlifting, I'm going to tell you right now, I am not like the buffest person. I don't go to the gym and do like squats with like the racks and like do the bench press and deadlifts or whatever. But if you do them, you gotta do your due diligence. You gotta get the form correct, of course, because whenever you lift weights or use a machine, you want to work the intended muscles, and also you don't want to overcompensate with other body parts. And then most importantly, you do not want to hurt yourself. Yes, and to work the intended muscles, you have to, quote unquote, stabilize your core. And when we say core, many people think it's just abs, like the six pack at the front, but no, the core incorporates both like the stomach and the back area. It's literally the middle of your body. So if that area is weak or compromised and you compensate with other parts of your body, it's like a huge uphill battle from there. So make sure that your core doesn't need to be like super strong, but stable. Yeah, stable, because that's how you pretty much do the movements for your arms and legs to be stable, because they all come from the core. And there's a bunch of random core exercises like they call it bird dogs or pelvic tilts, and you guys can look into that on your own time. But in Pilates, that's a good form of exercise for the core. I'm just saying, do not neglect the core. And the misconception about weights is like, I don't want to get muscles that are too big or whatnot. Well, it's not necessarily always for aesthetics. I mean, yeah, big muscles, yeah, whatever. But it's for strength. It's for functionality to get through your everyday life. It's especially for grip strength. Yeah, from one of the books I recently read, they say you could tell a person's longevity through their grip strength, because grip is, your hands are pretty much your extension to the world, like how you reach for objects, how you do things. If it's weak, then it's a very vague but relative fair indication of your life expectancy and functionality. So not just grip strength, but we call it functional strength, everyday life stuff. I'll be honest, because I do exercise, it's easier to carry groceries or something, or carry certain pieces of furniture in the house. I don't have to overextend or overcompensate myself or just throw my body somewhere. I know exactly what body part goes where. I make sure I'm centered, my core is as stable as possible, before I lift it. Oh yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind with posture. Whenever you, okay, the general rule of thumb is that you get your body, as in like your torso, as close to the object as possible. Then you reach for it. Yeah, I don't want you to like stand slightly far away, for like you're scared of the thing you're about to do, and you arch your back and you overextend your shoulders and you reach for it. It's not the most efficient way to do stuff, you know. And another general rule of thumb is that for your back, try to reduce anything that is twisting too much or that is fast or sudden, because those are the two easiest ways to injure your back. And people say whenever you lift stuff, yeah, lift with your legs. So, for example, if something's heavy on the ground, you squat down towards it, you bring your body torso towards it, and your arms are at a good length from it. Then you grab it. Then you push up with your legs and your hips and your thighs, rather than, oh, you arch your back over and you reach for it and you carry it up. Then you're compromising your back too much. And I can guarantee you, like, the back muscles are a lot smaller than the hips and thigh muscles. Yes, I know I'm not using the most technical terms. Well, honestly, sometimes I can, but just to keep it, I don't know, colloquial and friendly and easy to understand. And just chill, you know. I'm not like preaching to anyone. I'm just saying what works for me and based on my experience. Yes, but of course, weightlifting is not enough. You must also take cardio into account. And there's like the standard, like cycling or jogging or even just walking. Walking is great. It is very underrated. I mean, most of the people in the world walk. Not everyone drives everywhere, you know. Or if you're willing to get wet, swimming. Oh, that works everything. It works the arms and the legs. But the thing about the cardio is that it works on the heart and the lungs, you know, the cardiovascular health, the breathing, the endurance, the ability to do things for prolonged periods of time without being like super winded or giving up easily. Okay, that's the brief gist on, I guess, exercise. Now, moving on to diet. So, yeah, the general rule of thumb is you can just eat stuff in a moderation, you know? Yeah, just nothing too excessive. Just not too much fat, not too much sugar, not too much processed food, but not like all vegetables, not all fruits, you know? You gotta have a good balance of everything. Of course, certain things you try to really monitor yourself on, especially sugar and carbs, and you don't want too much fat either. Yeah, back then, like they said, oh, fat is bad, fat's terrible. But do not eat fat. But there's good fat out there. There's good fat in eggs and avocado and nuts. Just two things to keep in mind when you eat, or I guess two things to focus on more, or make sure you get enough protein and enough fiber. And believe it or not, like if you eat more protein, it keeps you satiated longer. You stay full longer. And same for fiber, because I don't know about you, but constipation sucks. So, yeah, well, okay, that's not the only reason to eat fiber. And then there's a whole bunch of other benefits to help keep your body hydrated and whatnot. But honestly, if you tax your gastrointestinal tract and system, oh my God, that's like one of the last areas you want major chronic diseases in, you know? Yeah, I'm not saying, oh, never eat junk food, never eat cake. I mean, you can have a couple snacks here and there, but just remember that what they really are, that they're a process, that they are not fully natural, and that you shouldn't eat it every day. Like, it's good to indulge every now and then, but at the end of the day, when it comes to diet and exercise, it's just discipline and routine, you know? I don't want you to deprive yourself and hate yourself when you're doing all these movements. Oh, why do I gotta lift weights? Why do I have to bike or run? Why do I have to eat vegetables? Well, you make it work. You make it interesting or incorporate into your daily routine. Like I say, I listen to YouTube videos or podcasts, or sometimes I Chromecast something onto my TV, watch it while I exercise. I get the nutrients efficiency through the smoothies. Yeah, protein, I typically eat chicken and salmon. Yeah, I know that's generic, but I eat other stuff sometimes too, like Oh, ground turkey. Oh, that's the way to go. But pretty much anything, if something's like the food's kind of boring, you just like season it a lot. You know, you season it however you want. And there's so many different ways to season. Like there's so many different spices out there from so many different cultures and ethnicities, and so many spice mix and marinade mixes and rubs out there. Just experiment, like change it up every now and then. Make your vegetables interesting. Make your meats interesting. Yeah, the general rule of thumb is just be mindful and make an effort with your physical activity and what you eat every day. Yeah, with these podcasts, I try not to disclose too much personal info about myself. But okay, I'll start with one thing. I work in the healthcare field, and I see my share of patients. And when I see those patients, of course, they come at you at their time in need. But some the field I work in, like they have what we call comorbidities. So many health conditions going on. It's not just two or three. It can be list of 7, 10. I've seen 15 or 20 things going on. And sometimes with physical health, sometimes it's unfortunate. You dealt a raw hand, and that's the nature of it. Sometimes it's through an accident or hereditary, or it's completely random, out of your control. But everything else that's within your control, you have to take care of it. Like you have one body, you're not going to get another one. Like people say your body is your temple, and I find that kind of generic, but it's worth taking care of because the repercussions down the line when you get older, it really sucks. I've seen the other side of it. I mean, not necessarily that it happened to me, but to my patients. Like various things that have gone wrong with different organs or different systems. Like they're on like oxygen tanks and oxygen tubes, or they need dialysis, so they have to go to dialysis 3 or 4 times a week for 3 or 4 hours at a time because they did not drink like the right things or drink enough water, did not take care of their kidneys, or they did not eat enough fiber, and then the gastrointestinal tract gets inflamed, and they did not exercise their cardiovascular health. Now they are more at risk for stroke or irregular heartbeat or chronic heart failure, and that sucks because, like, honestly, the fluid that the heart pumps is not just like blood; it's also lymph. It builds up, and and you get much more tired easily. And the fluid sometimes it swells at your feet, and you already know the general consensus about smoking and drinking. I'm not gonna just order you no smoking, no drinking, but you know what it entails, and it's a choice you make. And I see many patients. I'm very sure that they regret smoking and drinking for that much or that long because they would want to be able to breathe again, or they would want their liver to be healthy again. And this talk is not necessarily to judge anyone. I know there's many other life factors going on, and everyday life is super busy, and sometimes it's hard to prioritize yourself because you have, I don't know, like kids or other family members to take care of. But you can't take care of them if you don't take care of yourself. And one way to take care of yourself is to make sure that you are in relatively respectable physical shape. I'm not saying you gotta be super jacked or have a body fat of 5% or something, but you gotta be able to hold your own, to have enough energy, to have the strength to go through your daily tasks. Because the human body it's meant to move. Yeah, it's not meant to like sit all day or be in bed all day or be on the couch all day watching like a tablet or your phone or a TV. I mean, there's time for that. It's good to relax, but I know it's easier to do those kind of things nowadays. But just because it's easy, you don't want to sink into that spiral trap. You know, it's good to, we're meant to do stuff. We're meant to stand and do tasks and household chores and walk around and do this and that. Yeah, we got cars and we got electronics and it's convenient, but you don't want to be sucked into that convenience, you know? Yeah, the convenience of entertainment, the convenience of easy transportation. I just hop in the car and get there and get back. the convenience of food. Or I just pop something like from the frozen section into like the microwave real quick. Or I just grab some fast food. Though nowadays, like fast food's expensive too. You're not missing out on much. It's probably much easier to buy the meat and vegetables you want and season it the way you want and cook at home. Yeah, so long story short, your body is, like it or not, it's part of your identity. And there are many things that are out of your control, like certain conditions or certain appearances or certain things you're predisposed to that you can never change. But to prevent or do the best within your ability to prevent worse stuff down the line, you gotta have I guess, a healthy routine, healthy habits every day. And does it guarantee success? No, it does not guarantee that you'll never be sick again or that you live to 100. But it gives you much more of a chance, and at least you can take pride in saying you you had that chance. You made the most of that chance. Yeah, like I say, I had patients who are recovering from a surgery and they're down on themselves and it's not easy. And I tell them, well, sometimes because you were physically active, you took care of your body as best as you can, you have a much better chance of recovering from that surgery or operation as opposed to patients who did not. Yeah, so you have less health conditions, less comorbidities, less things to worry about. You just gotta focus on recovering from that main surgery. While other people, they gotta battle with maybe 3 or 4 different things going on. And you already know it's better to take care of something than to, I guess, fix it if it's damaged or let alone even replace it, if you can't even replace it. But if there was a takeaway message from this talk, it's just take care of your physical health through exercise and a healthy diet. If not necessarily exercise, then at least consistent movement throughout the day, integrate it into your daily routine. All right, thank you for listening, and we'll have a new topic next time. Bye.